everyone and welcome back. I have super good news, and that's that I passed my JLPT exam. Woo! Now, it was the JLPT N3 that I passed. Finally. I've lived in Japan for over 3 years. I think now it's 3.5 years. And I took my N4, I think 2 years ago, a pretty long time ago. But then I got married, I moved in with my husband, I learned how to do a lot of cooking, and well, Japanese company employees tend to have a lot of overtime. So it was kind of difficult for me at first to kind of figure out how to do all this cooking and life stuff for 2 people all by myself. But now everything is great, and I had time to do a whole bunch of studying, and I got it, my N3. So first of all, my score. Bing! Ta-da! This is my official certificate. Ooh, look at that. There are 3 parts for the JLPT exam. 3 parts. One second. I totally know this, but like whenever I'm actually recording, I get nervous and forget really basic things. So, the first part is the language knowledge. This involves your vocabulary and your grammar. And I knew this was my weakest point. I live in Japan, my husband's Japanese, and our main language at home is Japanese. But like out of context, I have a very hard time with vocabulary, and like if I'm given an option of like what's the correct way to say that, I'm just like, shoo, how do I say it? I'm just not very good at that kind of test stuff. But I managed to get a 44 out of 60, which is pretty good. Now the second part, the reading, I am extremely pleased about. I got a 60 of 60. Here, I'll show you. Ja-ja. See that? That is totally a 60 out of 60, baby. I got a perfect score on my reading. Now, I have a few things to thank for that. Before, reading was probably the weak point for me. Like, I've always been kind of at the first part, language knowledge, but really reading was like what really killed me. My reading comprehension was not good. I would read something and then finish a sentence and be like, oh, what did I just read? And then read it, 2 or 3 times, and it just was not very fast. But now I'm much more literate. I'll go into more detail about how I study later. And the last part was listening, which is the part I was the least worried about, again, because I live in Japan and our main language at home is Japanese. All my coworkers are Japanese, my students are Japanese, I hear Japanese all the time. However, that day I was not feeling too good. I didn't sleep well the night before, and I just wasn't good. And even in English, you know how sometimes when you're tired, you'll be sitting there all like, huh? What? Yeah, that happens in Japanese even worse than English because that's my second language. I managed to get 51 out of 60, which is still pretty dang good. A lot lower than my practice test score, which I think I only missed one and I had a 59 out of 60, but hey, for a day when I was not feeling good, I will happily take a 51 out of 60. My total score was 155 out of 80. So I guess I got math 25 points marked off. But hey, that's pretty good. I am pleased. And you can see right here, passed. Yeah, look at that, a passed. And that's the most important thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I studied for the JLPT exam. I keep wanting to say Nihongo no Rokushiken because usually when I'm talking about it in Japanese. First of all, this is something that I started using when I was studying for the N4. Because with the N4, I was mostly just worried about what I needed to know. I didn't feel like I needed to study too hard for it. I used this pattern drill book. This is pretty much just a basic study book. It's got a bunch of JLPT style questions for your kanji, for your vocabulary, for your grammar and your reading. It's also got a big listening section, which actually I've never used the listening section for this book, so I can't tell you whether it's good or not. But I like it because it covers a little bit of everything, and all the questions are JLPT style. Probably any drill book will do. This is just the one that I'm used to using. It is 2,200 yen, so 2,200 yen. So it's not a bad price for a fat book full of old JLPT questions. One thing that I like about this book is that it is slightly harder than the test. Like some of the grammar points that I was looking up when I was checking my answers were really more like N2 level. That's cool because I plan on taking the N2 too, and I feel like if I'm doing okay with the practice problems in this book, I will be okay with the actual JLPT exam, which is good. The other books that I used were the Nihongo Somatome N3 books. These are really, really popular. These and the Kanzen Master. I decided to go with these because I kind of already considered myself to be at the N3 level. It was just like the grammar specifics and some of the kanji I was worried about. So the grammar book is broken up into like a lesson a day, so it'll have a few related grammar points along with like a situation where they're used, and then a few questions that are JLPT style, I guess. I like it because if you're busy, like I often am, everything's broken up into daily and then weekly doses. They have the review test at the end of the week that you can take, and it has English explanations, and it's just very, very easy and handy to use. I do recommend these if you're busy or if you're not confident about studying Japanese in Japanese, which is what you have to do with the Kanzen Master. In my case, like I wanted to use the Kanzen Master, but my busyness at the time and the short amount of time I had to get ready for the test kind of discouraged me from studying Japanese in Japanese. This was a great option. Now for the kanji, I'm actually, in addition to these books I just showed you, I'm also using a program called WaniKani, which is owned by the folks at Tofugu. And WaniKani, first of all, it is not cheap, but my illiteracy was driving me insane. The first 3 levels, I think it's the first 3 levels on WaniKani are free to try, and I do recommend it. The first few, I think the first 10 levels are pretty slow paced getting into it, but it picks up fast. I'm in the 20 range now, and I have so many reviews a day. It's exhausting. But for me, it was very, very effective. I can now pretty easily read manga and stuff that's more daily life type manga. Of course, like science fiction or fantasy or, strange manga are still kind of tricky for me. But all my daily life stuff and normal conversation, kanji and words that you see every day, I can now easily read thanks to using this WaniKani application. There's also a forum, which I enjoy the forum, and you don't need to be a WaniKani paid member to join it. There's cool stuff like reading clubs, where everyone votes for a book or a manga to read together, and every week there's like a set number of pages you're supposed to read, and you're allowed to like discuss the book or ask questions on the forum, and it's great. Before this, I was trying to read, and I was bothering my husband all the time to be like, hey honey, what does this mean? I don't understand this grammar. And I mean, he's great and he helps me, but when he has like a 10 to 12 hour work a day for 5 days straight and I'm bugging him about grammar questions, he is just kind of like, let me rest. So it's really nice to have the additional source of information. And as much as I love reading, sometimes it does get a little lonely living in Japan and reading books all by yourself. I mean, I've never had an issue with that in the past, but living in Japan can be lonely. What can I say? You're in a foreign country. But as handy as WaniKani is, from where I started to the test, there was going to be a gap in my kanji knowledge. Like the kanji that I knew really well. I was confident. But there's still a good chunk of kanji that I could not study in time because of the way wanikani progresses. And so I got this. This is the Nihongo Sonomatame N3 kanji book. And just like the grammar book, it is broken down into daily and weekly lessons with like a situation where you might see these kanji, and then kanji list, and then your test. I wish there was a little bit more reading in this book, but I mean, it works. It's great. I was able to at least review all the kanji that I could expect to see on the test, especially the ones that I hadn't learned on wanikani. I didn't know them as confidently, but at least I wasn't surprised by anything on the test and was kind of able to be like, well, it's one of these two, so that raised my chances of being correct. The last book that I used was the official Nihongo no Rokushiken JLPT N3 practice test book. This book is a full practice test, and I took this I think a week or two before the actual test so that I could know my weak points, because I only had 1 or 2 more weeks and I wanted to focus in on those weak points. So sitting down and taking this, and I did pretty good on the practice test and figured out that, unsurprisingly, I needed to work on my language knowledge stuff, so I studied the items that were actually in here. I do think that this was easier than the actual JLPT test that I took this year, but it's a good experience. I do recommend it. It's extremely cheap, and I think you can actually download a PDF off the official site. I'll hunt that down and try to link that below. But the book's super cheap, and it is nice to have a bound version personally. It comes with the CD for the listening. I think this was actually the only listening practice I did for the whole test, but I kind of have an unfair advantage with the listening. In addition to this, I used some applications like Sticky Study for iPhone for my vocabulary flashcards. Now, I'm not going to say you should go buy Sticky Study because there are now a gajillion JLPT vocabulation? What the hell is that? JLPT vocabulary review flashcard applications available. I originally got Sticky Study like 5 or 6 years ago when there were far fewer options other than Anki, and like, I don't know, I just don't care for the Anki user interface. And I mean, I use it sometimes, but Anki's just not my jazz, my jam, that's the word I want. It's just not my jam. But yeah, I do recommend having some flashcards for vocabulary. In addition to that, I use a dictionary application called Midori, which is another paid application I bought ages ago. And I like it because, like, while I'm reading, I can look up words that I don't know and bookmark them in the dictionary, which that's not very special, but it also has it where you can take your bookmark lists and make a flashcard SRS out of them. There may be some others out there, but if you can find some sort of application where it has a built-in flashcard thing, then yes, use it. It's great. Other than that, I think that's it. And good luck. I hope that if you took the JLPT exam, that you too passed with flying colors. And if you're going to take the JLPT exam either in December or next year in June, I hope that some of these books that I recommended will help you. And I guess that's it. Yay! We passed. Why am I saying we passed? I passed the JLPT exam. Next up is going to be the N2 next July. So let's study hard. See ya.